We showed you at the top of the program that the avalanche danger pretty much everywhere in the state of Utah is high. This was a monster storm. It's not quite done yet. And joining me now to tell us a little bit more about why the danger is so high and how they come up with these forecasts is Bruce Tremper, the head of the Utah Avalanche Center. Bruce, thanks so much for coming in.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So, you know, obviously a lot of snow just kept coming. Started Sunday and really didn't stop all the way overnight. What made this snowstorm so dangerous for the backcountry?
This is an amazing snowstorm. It's just this huge fire hose of a storm that comes from Hawaii. It's a Pineapple Express, smashes into California and comes into here. And we got huge water amounts out of the storm. Not a whole lot of snow, but it's very heavy, dense snow. So that's the problem. So we're putting all this heavy, dense snow on top of all the light, fluffy snow and cold snow that we had a few days ago. So doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that a bunch of heavy, dense snow on top of light, fluffy snow, no good. It comes down off the mountain. So avalanche warnings statewide, every single mountain range in the whole state. Avalanche warning, high danger and extreme danger today for the Provo area mountains. We don't use the extreme word very often, but yeah, it's coming down.
What is it, you know, how is it that, you know, the Provo area got so bad? What made that, what makes it an extreme danger?
The fire hose was just trained on that, and it's coming out of the southwest, and that sort of hits that area perfectly. Mount Timpanogos is just kind of oriented just the perfect way. It rises up out of the Provo Valley, and it just snows like crazy at Aspen Grove on the end of the backside of Mount Timpanogos. And so they had 9 inches of water weight. So 9 inches, that's a lot. That's that's an annual amount of precipitation for a lot of parts of Utah in 2 days. So huge water weight. There was avalanches just coming down everywhere yesterday and last night. And then last night when the cold front came through, there was huge precipitation intensity, as we call it. So there was a 3-hour period where we were getting almost a ½ an inch of water per hour, which is huge. Usually, you know, a snowstorm, light, fluffy snowstorm, it's like a 1/10 of an inch of water per hour. But, you know, a ½ an inch, I mean, it's just huge. So people last night just didn't even know what was going to happen, you know, if the whole world was going to come down. So, but luckily, the temperatures got cold. It kind of froze things up a little bit. So it wasn't quite as active this morning as we were fearing, but still, avalanches everywhere.
Well, let's talk about, you know, how the Avalanche Center works and how these forecasts are made, and how you did come up with this information beyond just you know, when a storm happens in the middle of the night. You know, how is it that by, you know, 5, 6 in the morning you guys know to tell people stay out? I mean, is it just looking at the weather, or I mean, do you have people out there, you know, in the middle of the night checking snow conditions?
Well, it's kind of cool. We're a small organization. There's only 4 of us, 4 forecasters that work in Salt Lake City. There's 8 forecasters statewide. Another one in the western Uintas, one in Logan, one in Manti Skyline, one in Provo, or one in Moab, rather. And so we're kind of rotating through the office. There's only one person in the office each day. You wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning sometime, like last night, and you're in there at 4 o'clock in the morning. And so you're this network of all these different entities. We're co-located with the National Weather Service, so it looks like the New York Stock Exchange down there with all these monitors. So we got all this information coming in from the ski areas, from the Utah Department of Transportation, the Helicopter Ski Company. There's, you know, we have a small army of volunteer observers. They're out all the time letting us know what's going on. And then, of course, we as forecasters, that's the most critical part, is we get out and look at the snow ourselves. And forecasting is not something you can do from the office. You got to get out there and look at the snow, which is the good part. And we just collect all the information, and we try to put out the forecast as best we can. Like this morning, I was the only person in the office sitting in this little cubicle. You feel like the Wizard of Oz. It maybe looks impressive, but it's just one person there behind the curtain, and trying to, you know, figure out where it's high, where it's considerable, where it's extreme, and, you know, where you're going to find avalanches, what aspect elevations, what kind of avalanches are occurring, clues to identify the avalanche hazard, and clues to how to travel safely in avalanche terrain.
Now, you mentioned that you work with the National Weather Service and all these other organizations. Talk a little bit about how and why the Utah Avalanche Center was created here, to inform people.
Yeah, and the whole avalanche game in Utah or anywhere is a little bit complicated because each ski area has its own team of people that do avalanche forecasting and avalanche mitigation for that ski area using explosives. And then the Utah Department of Transportation has their own team. And all the avalanche accidents, almost all the avalanche accidents, happen outside of ski area boundaries because the people inside the resorts do such a great job. And our hats off to them. It's a dangerous job, it's a hard job, and they keep it safe for everybody on the highways and at the ski areas. 99.99% of the time. But almost all the avalanche accidents happen in the backcountry, in other words, areas outside of ski area boundaries where there's no avalanche control, there's nobody looking out for you, there's no ski patrol. So that's where we come in. We're the Forest Service Utah Avalanche Center, and we were created in 1980, and I've been here since '86, and we put out avalanche information for the backcountry so the public that are recreating in the backcountry can get critical information before they go out there.
When it was created back in 1980, was it created out of a certain? Was there a rash of avalanches or something that sort of inspired some folks to coalesce this group together?
Yeah, people started backcountry skiing quite a bit in the 70s, and back then it was a whole different population than what we're dealing with now. It was mostly, telemark skiers in wool knickers on little tiny wooden skis, and hey, I was one of them, and that was the only people out touring, as we called it, in the backcountry in those days. And now the population is completely different. The demographics are completely different than they were before. Now it's snowmobilers, it's backcountry skiers on randonnée gear, it's snowshoers, it's climbers, it's people walking their dog, it's snowboarders. So it's a huge number of people, and the demographics are very dispersed as far as their user groups.
And as the demographics have changed, has the technology also gotten much greater? Even this year, you've added a whole lot of social media tools to help with reporting and other information.
Yeah, that's true. In the old days, it was just a telephone line that we would record. It was about 30 seconds long. And there was no such thing as the internet. This was long before the internet. And we used to type on these old computers that go jugga jugga. That was a long time ago. So think how things have changed. Now we've had to come up to speed on the internet, all the social media. Now we're doing texting and Twittering and Facebooking and you got to keep up. It's a whole new world.
All right. Well, you guys do have some fundraising events coming up because you do need to pay your salaries and pay for all that high-tech equipment in the office and keep it up to date and keep it monitored for the future.
I work for the Forest Service, and it's a Forest Service program, but only about a quarter of the funding comes from the Forest Service. The vast majority of the funding comes from private donations. About half our funding comes from private donations through the Friends of the Utah Avalanche Center, and then the state of Utah kicks in about $105 grand a year, and Salt Lake County, and so our funding comes from a variety of different sources, but private fundraising is a large part of it through the Friends group, the Friends of the Utah Avalanche Center.
And do you have something coming up? Any events?
Well, actually, I don't know. I have a hard enough time keeping up with the avalanche part.
All right. Well, then we'll
legally have to keep myself separate from the fundraising part.
Fair enough. Then I will leave you with one last question that I think you can answer. What can we expect for the rest of this week?
Well, the fire hose is still trained on us right now. It's shaking a little bit to the left, so we're on the cold side, or a little bit to the right, rather. We're on the cold side of the fire hose, so it's snowing outside. But tomorrow night, it's kind of shaking back to the left again, so the warm air from the south, warm, wet air from the south is going to be back. So with higher freezing levels, rain up to maybe 7,000 feet, hate to say it, maybe by tomorrow night and on Wednesday. So the avalanche danger is going to continue for the next couple days, maybe finally end on Thursday.
Are you concerned that, you know, we were talking this morning that whenever you see, even when you see the danger as high as it is, as extreme as it is, people still go out in the backcountry? Are you concerned someone's not going to come back this week?
Yeah, anytime it's like this, you worry. And that's the bad part of the job, is you're just always waiting for that phone call. Most people heed our warnings. Otherwise, there would be all kinds of people killed in Utah all the time. So actually, most people are killed at the middle danger rating, level 3, or considerable as we call it. Not at high or extreme, because our avalanche warnings keep people out of the backcountry there. Otherwise, it would just go off the chart. So that's where we really are saving lives, I think.
All right, Bruce, thank you so much for coming in. Thanks for all the great work you do. If people do want to sign up for all the various social media tools or just see the daily report, where do they go? Yeah, our website, UtahAvalancheCenter.org, one-stop shopping for anything you need to know about avalanches. Fantastic. Bruce Tremper, thank you so much for coming in. When we come back, Amy Anderson will be in with a look at the 7-day forecast, national outlook, and much, much more. Don't go away.